Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Novelists Unwind. I'm so glad to be here with you today with my guest, Joanna Davidson Politano, who is a return guest.
Hi.
Hey, we're so glad to have you back. We talked to you probably about 3 years or more ago about your debut novel, Lady Jane Disappears, which debut novel got all kinds of attention and awards, and I think, was it a Christie finalist? And I don't even know what all.
Something. I can't remember. I think it was a Carol finalist,
A
an
Carol finalist?
Inspi, and a Daphne du Maurier. I can't remember which
Oh,
book went
that's
where.
great. Yeah, that's wonderful, though, to just have your first novel get that much attention and awards and all of that. So congrats on that. That's great.
Thank you. It was an honor.
Yes, and we're here today to talk about, is this your fourth book?
Yes, fourth book.
The Love Letter. I'm halfway through this book, loving it, can hardly put it down, and so excited to talk to you about it and about just the idea that sparked it and the writing of it. And of course, it's got another beautiful cover. Your covers are always just so, so beautiful. So tell us about this story.
Well, this story kind of came about last minute because my publisher needed 3 new ideas for a new contract, and they didn't like one of them. So they said, can you come up with another idea? And I basically was like looking around my house saying, okay, what can I write about? I have no idea. A friend of mine was publishing a lost love letter story with the Dead Letter Office, and I just thought that was a really cool concept. And then I was thinking about my grandparents, who were a World War II couple, and they only met a handful of times in person before they got married. Their relationship was through letters.
Oh, wow.
And so I was thinking how easy it would be to miscommunicate or misunderstand or misinterpret or even get a wrong letter from the wrong person, or something like that. And because your relationship is all based on these written words. So it kind of took off from there. I just sent them like 2 paragraphs of a general idea, and they wanted me to start with that one. So I kind of I picked it up, and then my friend guided me towards Signed, Sealed, and Delivered, a Hallmark show, for some inspiration, which I loved. And it just kind of took off from there.
Oh, that's fabulous. And I understand this was a real seat of the pants project for you, more than what you usually do.
It was.
Right?
Well, normally I have several stories ahead where I keep notes. And I put in lines, I put in Bible verses that hit me, I put in tons of plot ideas and character nuances and things like that. With this book, I had 2 paragraphs that sketched that idea and nothing else. And I actually tried to be a plotter with this book because, I heard that it was a little bit easier and it went faster. So I was like, okay, let's give it a shot. Total fail. So I ended up spending all this time on an outline, and then I tried to write it, and it just didn't lay down on the page. There were so many holes, and I just didn't like it. So I ended up scrapping the outline and the outline process and just going back to being surprised every day with what came out of my characters' mouths.
Oh, I love that. I love when characters surprise me, even though I do, like, some projects I do a lot of plotting, some I do just seat of the pants. But either way, it's like when they say something that you didn't know they were going to say, or do something you didn't know what they were going to do. I just love those moments.
Me too. It was definitely fun. I also, I don't know, I had a certain ending figured out, and then it changed on me halfway through the book. I decided I didn't like it. So very seat of the pants.
Well, I'm excited to get towards the end of the book. I can't wait because it is so intriguing. So the premise of the story is that there's this young woman, Willa. She finds this love letter hidden away in a desk and decides she wants to find out who wrote it and who they wrote it to. And it's a beautifully written letter. And I don't want to give too much away, but can you tell us a little bit, without giving too much away, what happens to this letter? Oh, are you there?
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Sorry, you froze up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. The question was, to talk about the story without giving too much away?
The love letter itself. Yes, yes, the letter.
Okay, well, the love letter is an anonymous, kind of a secret admirer letter. Somebody who has been in love with someone else for many years and has been afraid to say anything. So they write this letter very authentically detailing their feelings and then signing it warmly, something like, you know, your admirer, your devoted admirer. And the letter is not opened when she finds it in this desk, the heroine. So she has no idea who it was meant to be to or who wrote it. And the person never received it, obviously.
Right. I hear little voices. They're so cute.
Eva, you need to go in a different room, please, okay? Yeah. Can you wait till I'm done? Thank you.
Aw.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. Just such a sweet little voice.
He is a sweetheart. He is a really big sweetheart. Okay, Levi, can you go with your sister? Go on, honey. I'll be out in just a little bit, okay? Thank you. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize. They're so cute. They're so cute. And I know that you've talked before about your influences being both, and this is such a great combination. Charles Dickens, who's one of my favorite authors. I've not read all of his books, but every 2 or 3 years I try to read one that I haven't read before. And Daphne du Maurier. So I mean, it's just really cool that you've pulled those two very different authors together and are influenced by them. So I just wondered if you could talk just a moment about that, about Dickens and du Maurier and how you make them your own, those influences your own in your stories.
Well, the interesting thing about those two authors is they're very different, but there are a lot of similar threads. And the reason that I like them, they both have fantastic characters that are very well drawn and very thorough. And Dickens sometimes does a little bit overblown characters, you know, a little caricaturish, but they're so, like, you can hear their voices and you can see them when they talk. You know exactly who's talking. And with du Maurier, you really feel those characters. Like, you feel their struggles. Another thing that's similar about both of them is they like to surprise you.
Yes.
So Dickens often has a surprise ending, or you don't know how it's going to end. There were actually people lined up at a boat dock waiting for deliveries of the last installment of, which one was it? The one about the orphan rag girl in the Curiosity Shop. Yeah.
Yes.
So people were definitely feeling that suspense with his books. And with du Maurier, of course, she wrote Rebecca. And that surprised the world. So I love surprises. I love to pick up a book and be surprised. So I don't take characters or specific scenes from them, but that element of needing to be surprised, I love to put that in there.
And you've got that good feel to your book, and I guess we should say this story takes place in Victorian England, so it's the ruins of a castle, or I guess it's not a castle, but the ruins of this big estate, and being restored, and also it's based on a place that you have visited, which I just find so fascinating, and am a little bit jealous that you've got to do that kind of traveling and visiting these old ruins in England and all of that. So so talk about that. That's fascinating to me.
Well, I was fortunate enough to have a husband who would take me to Scotland for our honeymoon. And we toured all these ruins and all these estates. Some were ruins, some were not, and cathedrals and everything else. And it was so beautiful. And it just kind of exploded my imagination. So many stories. We talked to local people who told us what happened to these families and things like that. More personal details than tour guides. And so that was so much fun. I also traveled through the southern part of England for a little while before I was married by myself. And I toured all these different buildings, all different types of buildings. And was just so fascinated by the idea of the ruins and what led to it and who lived there. So when I created these stories, I had so many pictures and notes that I could walk back through the houses, some of them.
That's so cool.
And so I knew where they opened up, and I knew what the entryway looked like, and it made for a much more immersive writing experience.
Oh, I think that's wonderful that you got that opportunity. I mean, that's just, and that was before you even were writing, correct? Before you were.
I was writing nonfiction and short stories and things
Okay.
like that, but not novels yet, no.
Yeah, yeah, that's just what a gift that is that you have the opportunity to do that. I love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. Well, let's talk really quickly too about your main character, Willa, Willa Duvall, because she's a very interesting character too, you know, living in that day and time. But her biggest wish is to be a doctor like her father. And of course, just living in a time where that seems almost impossible to do. And she's also
Mm-hmm.
spurning proposals.
She is. I really actually enjoyed this heroine more than most of my others because she had a lot of backbone.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved having her interact with the other characters. With her strength coming out, it was just so much fun. The dynamic was wonderful. So she is very independent, doesn't feel like she needs a marriage necessarily to hide under that umbrella. She has very ambitious ideas, and she has watched another woman become a medical doctor through the schools in England, and then I think there was one in America at the time. And so she's like, okay, if they can do it, let's see what I can do. You know, let's see if there's one that will accept me. So her goal is to be accepted as a doctor. And there are several points in the book when people look down on her and assume things just because she's not a man or, you know, doesn't have the education, but she's actually pretty intelligent medically. So
Yeah,
I really enjoyed writing her.
she is. She's an absolutely wonderful character, and I think it's really fun too because even though the book is all about finding that like once in a lifetime love, you know, the
Mm-hmm.
letter is that, and as the letter touches different people throughout the story, we see that, and yet here's Willa saying, not for me, and yet you can tell that that's what she wants too. You know, she's just
Mm-hmm.
fascinated with the idea of love and what is deep, abiding love, and of course that spiritual thread also runs through that as far as God's love for us, which is just
Yes,
the best love story ever. You know,
absolutely. Well,
absolutely.
she's been offered several marriage proposals from men who really didn't know and appreciate her. They kind of took the surface level parts of, you know, she's efficient and she'd
Mhm.
make a good wife running a home. And that's just like, that's not at all what she wanted. So
Mhm.
she's fascinated by the idea of falling in love in an authentic way, in a deep way. And so she's almost afraid to admit that she has a romantic heart that wants to fall in love.
Yes.
So much of what is offered to her is just not up to par, and it doesn't fit what she wants.
And she's
So
strong
she
enough to
goes
say
through a
no.
lot of the story. Yes, she definitely is. And she has other ideas of what she wants to do with her life. She's not feeling left out or lonely. She's like, okay, I can do something totally different. And she's good with it.
Yeah.
And when she does find authentic love, she almost misses it because it's so foreign to her. So um, that
Aw.
was a fun dynamic to write because I went back and forth on how she felt about love, and she slowly kind of made it clear that she deeply, deeply wanted it, but she was very picky. And
Yeah.
that's not bad either because she
That's
got a good guy.
yeah, that's not bad. I think I know the guy. I hope it's the guy I I want her to be with. But again, the love letter, absolutely wonderful. It'll keep you up at night wanting to finish it and keep turning those pages. Very wonderful story. What's next for you, Joanna? What are you working on now?
I have 2 more novels contracted with Revell. I just turned in one that is set in the Victorian theater, and it is a ballet setting. So
Mhm.
the main character is a ballerina, which was a stretch for me because I'm not involved in ballet, other than the fact that my daughter has been in love with ballet since she could walk.
Aw.
So I've gotten to take her to see a few live ballets for this book, and that was a ton of fun. The book ended up being full of life and color, which was really cool. And then after that, I have a book that is set in the asylums, and it features a concert pianist and the very beginnings of music therapy.
Oh, how fascinating. That's very interesting. That sounds very Dickensian, right? When you start talking about
It is.
and things like that. Yeah, yeah. So I don't know if you remember last time we talked, again, it had to be over 3 years ago. The last question I ask is, when you hit the end, what do you do to unwind?
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, and I don't know what you said last time, so it doesn't matter if it's not the same thing.
Well, I mean, I think it changes with each book, but it
Really?
used to be eating chocolate, and I have found out I'm allergic to chocolate with
Oh
this book.
no!
So,
Oh my goodness!
so at this time, I think it's going to involve going out with my kids and some friends and at least getting some ice cream or something
Oh,
like that.
that sounds fun.
But yeah, typically something sweet and some good company for sure.
I like that. I like that. Well, thanks again, just so much for coming back, for talking about your book. It's wonderful. Highly recommend it. And I'm just really glad we got another chance to talk. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me, and thank you for reading my book. I'm honored.
Yeah, well, I love it. I just love it. So thank you. And everybody, thank you for being here. We'll see you again on Novelists Unwind. Bye-bye.